Hello, this is Ken Ferrie with this week's Boots in the Field report. We're going to start with the fishing report from last week. The fishing was flat out amazing. I'm not sure if it was the weather, the location, the team's fishing skills, or the fact that not many people have fished those waters in the past 2 years. Or maybe it was a combination of all the above, but it was a good week. If Zach starts telling you stories on how he outfished the old man all week, realize the only way that happened is because I let him. I was trying to build his confidence because, that's the kind of dad I am. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. One of the growers this week asked when CropTech is going to put on a walleye clinic to teach the pest teams on what to do if we have a walleye outbreak here like they're fighting in Canada. The more I thought about that, it sounds like a great idea. All of the pest bosses and their teams would come to Canada with us for a week-long walleye clinic. If your tax man is creative, you might be able to write the trip off. And I'm sure we'd all sleep better knowing that the threat of a walleye attack on our crop was handled. As far as the crop report or what we saw in our travels, the best looking corn I would say is right here in central Illinois. As we went north, the crop got smaller. On our way up, we saw multiple planters running. In a lot of fields, you could tell they were planted, but you couldn't tell what they were planted in or planted to. The crop just wasn't up big enough. On the way back, we could see it was mainly corn. Looked like actually a lot of corn. Stands looked good as far as plant densities, but the ugly corn stage was taking Wisconsin by storm. We could see different nitrogen and sulfur management programs in play. There would be a group of yellow cornfields with a green one stuck in the middle of it, indicating that grower was doing something different. Bean stands were not as exciting all the way up and all the way back. Saw a lot of evidence of replanting and interplanting into the bean stands. Here locally, the corn sure jumped in the week we were gone. Beans that were not caught in the carbon penalty jumped as well. Those that were caught in the carbon penalty looked the same when we got back as when we did going up. Friday, we were down in the Jacksonville root house area where they received anywhere from 0.6 to 4 inches with 60-mile-an-hour winds Friday morning. A lot of corn was blown flat and some was broken off. Some building damage, and man, a lot of trees got blown down. I pulled up or drove up behind a county worker carrying a chainsaw down the road, and in front of him was a snowplow that was pushing trees off the road. I've never seen a snowplow used to push trees off the road, so this was a first. Here locally, crops are showing stress from the heat. The corn is rolling them up by midday and not unrolling till late afternoon. While I'd prefer the corn just keep on rocking, when it's rolling, though, it's protecting itself. And if we're going to be dry, now's the time to be dry, not during pollination and grain fill. We can take some heat here, we can take some dry weather, but we are probably giving up some efficiency on our heat units, meaning when that corn's rolling, it's not producing a lot of photosynthesis during the day, it's kind of shutting that down. But it is still growing at night, so we're going to keep moving forward. The heat is kind of showing up in the sins of spring. So any compacted fields with wheel tracks in them, the sins of spring are now showing themselves, sidewall smearing, it's all out there. So those compacted fields they're rolling early, and they're staying rolled up till late in the afternoon. If this is one of your fields, it may be talking to you and say, come take a look and identify which of the sins is causing the problem, because that's how we fix it for next year. Nitrates are still coming in at a heavy pace, and they're still looking good. I do believe this is looking like a nitrogen-friendly year for most of our crop tech customers. We've been seeing beans flowering, in our early bean planting plots. That's exciting. Our April 12th and April 26th plantings. The 2.6 maturity groups are flowering both in our strip-till and no-till trials, and they started flowering on June 8th. The 3-4 maturity beans started flowering on June 10th. The 4-6 maturity beans planted on the 12th are flowering, and they just started on June 14th, where the 4-6 beans planted on April 27th have not flowered yet. I'm not sure they're going to make it. Other growers are seeing the same thing as they're sending in pictures of the beans flowering ahead of the solstice. Matt is seeing that over at Quincy. Ed Parrish is seeing it down there. Beans flowering in south central Ohio. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think these 3-4, 3-6 beans planted the end of April would have a chance to pre-solstice flower, the way the cool temperatures and slow growth have stalled them out. With the sighting of these flowers, I'm moving my yield expectations up on these early planted beans that made it, of course, and didn't have to be replanted. Right now, it looks like the rotary hoe, pulling that rotary hoe out and saving some of those stands is going to be a money maker for us. On the pest front, most corn is beyond the threat of cutworm. We are running into some armyworm issues in some fields, so let's stay on top of that. When scouting fields this time of year, it's easy to see a small percentage of the plants that are not herbicide resistant because they're dying. They stick out in amongst a green stand. But pest teams don't take these dead plants for non-resistant population out there without checking them. We are finding wireworm damage in fields, and that mimics the non-resistant plants that are dying. Dig these plants up and check for crown damage from the wireworm. For anyone running pheromone traps, next week let's put out the corn borer lures in those traps. Pest teams out there who are scouting non-GMO corn, pheromone traps are a good way to stay ahead of the corn borer issues. The more years you grow non-GMO corn, the bigger the threat comes. Many pest members are not old enough to remember when corn borer was the main insect to stay on top of. BT corn has somewhat wiped out the threat, but the growing number of non-GMO acres is increasing the threat out there. So stay on top of it. If you don't have any lures, let us know. We can get them to you. We keep a supply on hand here at the office. As we close the rows in this corn, all pest teams need to be on the lookout for tar spot, especially the areas that are getting moisture. Now, one good thing about this dry stretch, it should help hold back an early start to tar spot like we had last year here in Tar Spot Alley. With that said, we need to stay on top of the tar spot scouting. When you see black spots on the leaf, lick them a couple times, get them wet, and try to rub it off. If it won't come off, most likely it's tar spot. If it comes off, it was fly droppings. Nothing to worry about, except maybe the taste on your tongue. As you find the tar spot, let us know here at the office so we can track where it is and how fast it's developing. Staying on top of this will help us decide when and how many times we'll need to spray. Soil testing teams are cranking through the summer testing, so make sure your orders are in. The campus here is looking good for the Corn Soybean College event coming up July 26th and 27th. This year will be the 15th year of Corn College. Man, it's hard to believe how fast time flies. This year, the crew is adding a number of little extras to celebrate the 15-year anniversary. One of those extras I am excited about is on the second day, our luncheon speaker will be Romain Krynishin. Romain is from the Ukraine. Romain works with farmers and agribusinesses in the Ukraine. Romain will provide us with an overlook of what agriculture was like before this war broke out. And then he'll talk and show us the challenges that the Ukrainian agriculture is dealing with right now during the war. as well as letting us know how we can help if we're so interested to help our Ukrainian farmers. You'll have a chance to ask him questions about how farming is done in his country and what your Ukrainian peers are doing now to try to keep their operations intact during the war. Romain and his family will be headed back to the Ukraine after the event. So to get signed up for the Corn Soybean College, go to our website, click on the Corn Soybean College tab, and there you'll find a full agenda and be able to get registered. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.